article review for you today. This was sent to me by a friend of mine who's awesome in imaging and taught me everything I know about real-time ultrasound. And I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong. Longitudinal study of pelvic floor characteristics before, during, and after pregnancy in nulliparous women. And this is in the Journal of Ultrasound in Medicine. Okay, so quick translation is this study looked at imaging of organs in the pelvic region. And I think they did in, oh gosh, maybe it was 25 people, 24 women. So it seems like a really small study, but it's one of the first ones that's out there that looks at a woman, same woman, before pregnancy, during the different stages of pregnancy, and after pregnancy to see what the changes are that occur. And this is why this is so important. In the conversations that I have with women about especially prolapse, the biggest assumption, the biggest, I think, knowledge gap has to do with the fact that women do not realize that their organs move. And they're meant to move, and this is a very natural part of our evolution, life, whatever you want to call it. So to give you an example with pelvic organ prolapse, and I think this is important if you're a mom, but also important if you're a PT or a physio or a coach or trainer who works with pregnant and postpartum women. With prolapse, lots of times that is the first opportunity. So prolapse being descent of an organ, whether it be bladder, bladder neck, uterus, rectum, you name it, that it's the first time that they have an awareness that something might be moving. And usually the symptoms are heaviness, pressure, discomfort in the vaginal region. And sometimes women look and they can actually see those organs start to descend. And that can be really disturbing because that's the first time a lot of people are aware of those organs, other than what they read in, their health book in middle school. But this study, and again, I'm just going to reference quickly just some pieces in the abstract, and I'll dive into it a little bit later in a post. What they did is 2 visit measurements from 10 women who became pregnant. And what they found was the levator hiatus size. So the levator hiatus is basically, we're going to be crude here, the whole opening, okay, that decreased during the first trimester and then increased in the third trimester. And postpartum, the levator hiatus reached the pre-pregnancy state. So we have some architectural changes that are going on and that are in flux before and during pregnancy. They also said, and this is from the abstract, we observed changes in the bladder neck mobility. The bladder neck is basically, if you think of the bladder being this big sort of blob, and then there's a little neck coming down from it, that can move too. They saw some changes in that bladder neck position, the cervix, anal rectal junction. That's basically the angle between the anus and the rectum. It changes from the first trimester. And then postpartum, the bladder neck mobility was higher, and the position of the bladder neck and anal rectal junction was lower than before pregnancy. So I'll dive into this later on in another post, but the whole point is this, is we need to start having the conversation about, one, these organs move, because think about it, if you have stool in your rectum, things got to move out of the way for, the stool that fills the rectum or the bladder that gets filled with urine. Like, these organs are meant to have some degree of mobility. Throw pregnancy on top of it, and you're going to expect some changes. So I think the sooner we can start to have those conversations, it's not completely mind-blowing when you have prolapse and you're like, wait, I didn't think those things could move. But think about it. They can't be static. They can't be like cement. When you fold in half, if you go in a pike position or you just literally curl up into a ball, those organs are moving out of the way. And then, of course, when you're having a baby that's growing in your uterus and you're gaining, 25 to 50 pounds, things are going to move. You want them to move. Like, that's their job. So I think if we can get over, my dog is unhappy with me. I think if we can get over that hump initially, this idea that things don't move, then it becomes a little bit easier of a mental leap to sometimes things can move in a way that make you symptomatic, kind of leading on to pelvic organ prolapse. So anyway, that's a study that just came out. A friend of mine forwarded on to me, and I wanted to hop on and just at least introduce that topic with you, that, you know, these things can move. So if you're a pelvic physio, like, what are the questions that you get from clients? If you are a mom and you know, I just blew your mind that things can actually move down there, I want to hear your questions. So go ahead and hop over in my DMs. Let me know what questions that you have. And we can keep chatting about kind of these things that we need to understand, and things that we wish we had known sooner before we got pregnant, so we're not completely mind blown when we walk out of pregnancy that we've got a baby, we're expected to be a parent, and now we've learned all these crazy things about our body. So DM me your questions, and I think that's it for today. Yeah, see ya.